getting into the points, but they would have loved to have seen him up on the podium. David Coulthard, of course, had out-qualified him by just a fraction yesterday.
But the race was really all about those two red Ferraris, but a very strong finish from David Coulthard in third place. Here's the start. Ferraris get away well. Ralf Schumacher makes a very good start. Juan Pablo Montoya is in fact beaten into turn one, and it was one lap later where it all went wrong.
Yes, that's right. The two Ferraris making the most of that front row starting position and even the dirty side of the grid, not hurting Barrichello too much. Coulthard slotting in. Ralf Schumacher had moved ahead of Montoya, but the view showed Montoya trying to go around the outside. It was Ralf that lost control, and the two made contact.
But it was that man, Patrick Head, said it takes two cars to make an accident like that, and both drivers are equally guilty in the view of the team, and both drivers will pay that penalty some way or other.
Takuma Sato trying hard to outbrake into the first corner, making it a little bit too deep. But we saw other battles going on, and Mark Webber was enjoying himself in the early stages, wheel to wheel with Eddie Irvine.
There's Kimi Raikkonen losing out. This is the beginning of the end of his engine. It eventually would blow up, and he had no answer to the Williams of Juan Pablo Montoya.
I have to say, one of the most impressive things perhaps, John, was how long Raikkonen went on in that Grand Prix before the engine let go, because he obviously had problems from an early stage.
Yes, but they may have made some alterations to the engine settings, which David Coulthard did, which in turn may have given the slight advantage in terms of economy, so he would have maybe been able to carry another lap, possibly two laps, with the engine slightly detuned for reliability's sake.
De La Rosa had his Jaguar expire, the Cosworth engine, and then he nearly had an accident going down the other side of the barrier. Thankfully he was okay. But the two Ferraris were very much in control on their two-stop strategy. Ralf Schumacher trying to make up ground after the rear wing change, but he was never really going to be in the equation and still ended up last, despite overtaking a few cars during the course of the race.
But this is what David Coulthard and other drivers in the podium were mentioning. There was so much traffic everywhere around the racetrack. They found traffic, a very busy racetrack all weekend. Certainly this afternoon's Grand Prix, one of the busiest I've seen.
This was Alex Young's engine failure. The two Ferraris made their second pit stops, and once again Michael Schumacher emerged ahead, and it was soon clear that they had a very healthy lead over David Coulthard running third. It was Coulthard's teammate Raikkonen who didn't last the distance.
No, the inevitable happened. The engine had been under power, something going wrong. The team were aware of it. They just bandaged it as best they could. But there you can see some of the technology that exists on the pit wall. All the teams, they can tell precisely where their car is on a lap.
Villeneuve picking up the final point today. Good news for David Richards and the BAR Honda team. Only the second time that he's managed to get into the points this year. Last time out it was Panis, this time it was Villeneuve. But Montoya attacked in the closing laps, trying to close up the gap to Coulthard, as Irvine made a little error under braking as he tried to attack Nick Heidfeld. Up front, Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello were heading for victory, and as the Ferrari team came out to celebrate, Michael Schumacher decided to back off a little bit more, and as they headed round the last corner, he would surprise Barrichello even further.
And Eddie Irvine surprises us with that spin rather harmlessly at the end of the race, but Tony George waves the flag, and Barrichello wins by 1/100th of a second over his teammate, and for some, surely the Brazilians' joy as Barrichello drives his car onto this very impressive podium, not just for the drivers but also for the car raised up above the ground to be seen by well, I don't know how many tens or maybe hundreds of thousands of people here watching this Grand Prix from the famous Indy bleachers.
And Schumacher gifting the victory to Rubens Barrichello, the Brazilian adding another Grand Prix win to his tally after winning